This week on ANN, Adventist Healthcare provides health screenings to student athletes.
Adventist Community Services prepares to provide aid after deadly tornadoes hit 6 U.S. states.
And in the West African country of Mauritania, a new community center is built with surprising materials.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, over the weekend of December 10th, deadly tornadoes tore across 6 U.S. states. More than 88 people have been confirmed dead, and it is expected that the number will rise.
North American Division Adventist Community Services, or ACS, has been working to keep up with the latest situation in the U.S. states of Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois, Arkansas, Missouri, and Mississippi.
Each of these states have been affected by the series of tornadoes that struck late Friday into Saturday morning. Kentucky appears to be the most heavily affected.
Assessment is taking place at present, and 3 of the North American Division conferences or administrative offices are actively putting together their ACS teams.
The North American Division is supporting these efforts and has been in direct contact with conferences in that area and nearby: Kentucky, Tennessee, South Central, Arkansas-Louisiana, and Georgia-Cumberland conferences.
The North American Division and the entire Adventist World Church encourage you to pray for those impacted by these deadly tornadoes.
If you are looking for ways to help ACS and the victims of the tornadoes, please visit communityservices.org.
For more up-to-date information as it comes in, please visit nadadventist.org or adventist.news.
An ADRA community center was inaugurated in Nouakchott, the capital of the West African country of Mauritania. The ceremony took place on November 2 in Mina. The new center was built with 34,000 plastic bottles filled with sand. The thermoregulatory building has 3 floors and was made with concern for environmental protection and recycling of plastic waste. The bottles were collected by community young people. Some of them were brought because they had become a precious commodity. The cost of the project was around $117,000 US. It was co-financed by ADRA International and ADRA Belgium. This initiative is part of ADRA's capacity building activities through education and training in small trades. During the inauguration ceremony, the director of ADRA Mauritania, Andre Sanz, recalled the purpose of the center, which is based on 3 main pillars: the health of the population, the learning of computer skills and languages such as English, French, and Spanish, and the establishment of a multi-purpose auditorium for educational meetings for the benefit of young people. Those present at the ceremony appreciated how ADRA Mauritania has worked within the country, especially with regard to the availability of its volunteers, the relevance of its projects, and expertise shared with other humanitarian organizations working in the country. President of the West Africa Division, Eli Wake Dido, shared how he appreciated the efforts made in the implementation of this project and congratulated the ADRA team for their dedication. The center will house medical equipment for primary health care, equipment for a multimedia center, a place to learn languages, sewing, and embroidery, as well as a library.
With support from the Seventh-day Adventist Church, representatives of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, in Brazil, arrived in southern Bahia on Friday, December 10, to assess flood damage and initiate emergency response measures for 24 towns in the region. Since December 7, torrential rains and the collapse of a dam in the interior of Minas Gerais have contributed to widespread problems in southern Bahia. An extratropical cyclone that occurred on December 9 increased the damage, leading the government to declare a state of public calamity in the territory. ADRA Director for the state of Bahia, Leonardo Mendes, announced their first priority will be the distribution of drinking water to residents. ADRA International is also mobilizing resources that will be used in the response, based on the diagnosis and more immediate needs of families affected by the disaster.
Advent Health provides health screenings to student athletes in several of its U.S. markets, including in Volusia County, Florida, where screenings have helped identify and address risk factors like cardiac conditions. Check out the difference it's made in the life of one student athlete, Ethan Piazza. Advent Health reports.
I've played soccer since I was 4. fun, you know, being on the team with my friends and playing high school and competitive at the same time.
Normally, we'll just take our boys to their pediatrician every year for their normal physical. This year, Advent Health co-sponsored an event at the Speedway for the County of Volusia student athletes to get screened, and they were offering optional ECG screenings.
Where are you going? I thought I was completely healthy, nothing going wrong, and then we had this screening done, and then we found out that I have a heart condition.
The heart has its own normal electrical system, which helps it function and literally runs the heart. And if you're born with an extra connection, then that can manifest as a condition known as WPW.
He was admitted to Advent Health for Children and underwent cardiac ablation, and everything went as good as we could have hoped.
Once it's ablated and it's fixed, it's literally a cure, meaning that pathway is gone. Your risk is now 0, or same as everybody else in the general population.
It was like that week after I could get right back into it, and I started slowly getting back into the drills and training and stuff.
He played in his first game and actually scored the first goal of the game and helped his team win their first game of the season. So it was like the coolest return to sport game ever.
I turn around, I see everybody standing and cheering, saying, "Welcome back, Ethan," you know, so it was definitely a special goal.
I feel like we are a billboard now, advocating for the benefits of EKG screenings, because Ethan was that kid that could have collapsed at practice and had a sudden cardiac arrest or some other major issue happen without any warning. It could save your kid's life, so do it.
Mark your calendars. March 19 is Global Youth Day, a time when young people from all over the world take time to be the sermon in their communities.
This year's theme is Loving the Forgotten. To explain more, the youth department sent this report.
Hello, young people and youth leaders. I'm Pastor Gary Blanchard, and guess what? Global Youth Day is soon approaching, and all of us here at the Youth Department cannot wait. How about you? The theme this year is Loving the Forgotten. Can you think of some people from your church that you haven't seen in a while? Is there a widow or an orphan in your community that is inevitably going through a difficult life transition right now? Or maybe some elderly or sick and shut-in member needs your attention and care. Have you spoken to them recently or shown them God's love? Take this time to come up with a plan, a strategy. Connect with them. Send some care package letters for them to know that they are loved and never forgotten. In Matthew 25, Jesus reminds us that when we feed the hungry, clothe the naked, welcome the stranger, visit the sick or those in prison, when we do for the least of these, our brothers and sisters, we are doing it unto Him. That's what GYD, young people and youth leaders, is all about. Remembering those we may have, unfortunately, forgotten.
I love Global Youth Day because it's the springboard for living a life of service. Global Youth Day is not the end, but the beginning of an exciting journey. That's right. Once we have cared for the community physically, we have a chance to also care for them spiritually with a week of prayer. This is your chance to bring anyone who you ministered to during Global Youth Day or any other missing members to learn about Jesus and His life-transforming love. This year's week of prayer is focused on the 3 angels' messages and how we can share the good news of Christ to all the world.
Week of prayer always ends on the next Sabbath with Homecoming Sabbath. This is the time to invite everyone we ministered to this past week. On this day, we want to invite our friends who haven't been around recently and celebrate with those who have been chosen by Christ and have decided to be baptized. Yes! What a wonderful time this will be. I cannot wait. Remember to start making your plans now. Check out our website, gcyouthministries.org, for all the Global Youth Day, Week of Prayer, and Homecoming Sabbath information.
And make sure to use your hashtag GYD22 on all your social media posts.
And on behalf of the General Conference Youth Department, we love all of you, and we'll see you at Global Youth Day. Bye-bye.
Coming up, ADRA in Tanzania works to help those with albinism during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, VL. How are you? Are you okay? Dear VL, I can't even remember how long we've been staying at home now because of this virus. For now, it's just nice to hear your voice and see your face. Nothing beats playing outside in the dirt though. Which reminds me, are your hands clean? Yes! Mommy and Daddy says not a lot of kids get COVID-19, but it's always nice to be extra safe. We should wash our hands before picking our nose. Washing our hands protects us, but it also keeps us from spreading the virus in case we touch something dirty. Let's always be clean and safe, okay? Love, Joey.
Welcome back.
Most people welcome the rising sun and enjoy the warmth, light, and life that it brings. To people with albinism, the sun is not such a welcome sight. It can be deadly.
During COVID, regular supplies of sunscreen have been disrupted, and people with albinism have been suffering.
Find out how ADRA was able to help in Tanzania in this video report.
To almost everyone on Earth, the rising sun is a welcome sight. All life on Earth is dependent on the sun. The sun provides us with energy, warmth, and vitamin D. Without the sun, plants and trees would not grow to provide us with the food we eat every day. But for people with albinism, the sun is not such a welcome sight. It can be deadly. Albinism is a genetic disorder that causes people to lack pigment in their hair, skin, and eyes. While it is a rare condition worldwide, there is a high concentration of people with albinism in East Africa. In many countries, albinism has become associated with superstitions that cause fear, discrimination, and persecution. Many people believe that people who suffer from this disorder are haunted or cursed by God and must endure a life of albinism as punishment for some evil they did in a previous life. Many people believe that albinism is a contagious disease, causing people to avoid contact and integration.
The stigma is there. People with albinism are stigmatized. If we get too close to people in the street or market, they spit on us. When we walk down the road, if we meet a woman who is pregnant, she will move to the other side of the road because she is afraid that if she gets close to us, she might have a baby who is like us. We are considered worthless to most people. We have no value to them at all. But what can we do? When they spit on us, what can we say? We choose not to be mean in return. They are God's children as well. God loves them as much as He loves us. We must love them too and forgive them.
Perhaps one of the most tragic ideas is the belief that people with albinism's bones and body parts can transmit magical powers that will bring prosperity to the user. This has caused people with albinism, even children, to be hunted, killed, and dismembered. Graves have been desecrated, and the bones sold on the black market to be used in witchcraft rituals.
I was working on a farm when some men approached me. At first, I did not know what they wanted, but then it became clear that they wanted to cut off my arm so they could sell it on the black market. I did the only thing that I knew I could do, and that was run. I ran for my life. While taking a sharp corner, I hit my face on a wall of a house. I survived, but I had hit the wall so hard that it caused much damage to the area around my eye. When I went to the hospital for treatment, they tested my skin around the eye. They found that I had cancer. I had to have my eye removed if I was to survive. I allowed them to go ahead, and that is why I am here today. But they told me that there would be a good chance that my cancer would return because of my albinism.
Sadly, most people with albinism die by the age of 40 from health conditions that could be easily prevented. Exposure to the sun can be highly damaging to the eyes and skin. Sunscreen, protective clothing, hats, and sunglasses are essential for the health of people with albinism. ADRA Tanzania has been working with the albinism community for over 20 years. Teaching life skills, they encourage the people with the message, disability is not inability. They have been providing education and awareness on methods to prevent skin cancer and providing treatments for people who present with precancerous conditions. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck Africa, many businesses and factories closed their doors, including the only factory in Tanzania that produces sunscreen. This has caused a severe shortage of sunscreen throughout the country. When it can be found, the price has risen so high that the people who need it the most cannot afford it. During the pandemic, most people with albinism have struggled to find enough income to purchase food for one daily meal, let alone find funds for expensive lotions.
My name is Victoria. Ever since my husband left me, I have been struggling to feed my 3 children on my own. The only work that I am able to find is as a day laborer out in the fields, exposed to the hot sun. This is why I look like this. The clinic says that my condition is not good. For 6 months, I have been trying to secure some sunscreen to protect myself, but there has been none to be found. I have been praying that God will help us.
As if in answer to Victoria's pleas, along with the prayers of many of her friends, ADRA Canada was recently contacted by Health Partners International of Canada. They had noticed the work that ADRA was doing with the community of people with albinism in Tanzania. They offered to provide pallets of sunscreen for Tanzania. Of course, ADRA agreed, and the shipment was arranged. The life-saving sunscreen was received in Tanzania with the most profound gratitude.
I do not have enough words to thank ADRA for the beautiful gift they have given to my friends and I with albinism. Having access to ADRA's mobile clinic and sunscreen distribution at the same time has been an honest answer to prayer. Thank you for touching our lives. After going so long without protection, ADRA has come to our rescue.
May God bless you for giving us this lotion. This sunscreen will have a significant impact on our lives. It will keep away the cancer. I thank you so much. May God continue to bless you so that you will be able to provide more lotion for us in the future.
As the pandemic continues to rage on in Africa, with new contagious variants being identified, the need for sunscreen is ongoing. People with albinism in Tanzania need our support. Please give generously to ADRA's Where Needed Most Fund so that we can continue helping people get protection from the sun. Thank you for your support.
To find more amazing stories and videos, visit ADRA Canada at adra.ca.
Coming up, Michael Yonker is here with This Week in Adventist History.
But up next, Adventist Mission shares the story of a family in Mongolia using creative means to reach their community.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. They can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
In some areas of Mongolia, yurts are used as places to worship. It's a perfect space to keep warm during the cold winter months.
Bunu and her husband used their yurt home to host a small church and even a Pathfinder club.
Adventist Mission has more.
The hills around Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, are covered in brightly colored houses and traditional yurts. A Mongolian yurt is a type of elaborate, semi-permanent tent. The concept has been used for many generations. Assembling and disassembling a yurt takes only a few hours. They may not seem like they would be very sturdy, but yurts can withstand even the worst storms. In some areas of Mongolia, yurts are used as places of worship. It's a perfect space to keep warm during the cold winter months. Bano is ADRA Mongolia's chief accountant. She uses her yurt home to host Mongolia's only Pathfinder club and a small congregation. Bano and her husband Boomchin planted this church as global mission pioneers several years ago. They wanted to create a better community for their own kids among the neighborhood children. Bano started a Bible story time, which quickly became popular with both the children and the adults because of her enthusiasm, creativity, and wonderful storytelling. They used to attend the main Adventist church in the city. As the neighborhood children became more involved in their lives, Bano and Boomchin took them along. That soon became a problem because the car could only fit so many children. The solution they decided was to start a Sabbath school in their yurt home. The weekly services were well attended, with parents often accompanying their children. This led to a growing Pathfinder club, and then to church services. They are a model church planting team, connecting with their community in positive ways, meeting people's needs, and then inviting them to accept Jesus as their Savior. The people are responding, and the church is growing in Mongolia. Since they started church planting in their neighborhood, dozens of community members have accepted Jesus into their hearts and have been baptized. Please pray for the work in this country in the 1040 window. Pray for global mission pioneers like Bano and Boomchin, who connect with their communities in creative ways and share a message of hope. You can support the work of Global Mission Pioneers by donating on the Global Mission website. Thank you for supporting Mission.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org and click on videos at the top.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Michael Younger for a look at Adventist history.
This week, Alonzo T. Jones advocates on behalf of religious liberty.
This week in Adventist history, we remember the efforts of Alonzo T. Jones on behalf of religious liberty. It was on December 13, 1888, that the bill S-2983 was referred to the 50th Congress of the United States in the U.S. Senate's Committee on Education and Labor. The bill's purpose was to secure to the people the enjoyment of the first day of the week, commonly known as the Lord's Day, as a day of rest, and to promote its observance as a day of religious worship. We'll continue reading a bit more of it to see the impact and force that it would present to believers. The proposed bill continued, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that no person or corporation or the agent, servant, or employee of any person or corporation shall perform or authorize to be performed any secular work, labor, or business to the disturbance of others, works of necessity, mercy, and humanity excepted. Nor shall any person engage in any play, game, or amusement, or recreation to the disturbance of others on the first day of the week, commonly known as the Lord's Day, or during any part thereof, in any territory, district, vessel, or place subject to the exclusive jurisdiction of the United States. Nor shall it be lawful for any person or corporation to receive pay for labor or service performed or rendered in violation of this section. That was what was proposed by Senator Blair in the United States. Naturally, with such a bill before the Senate, Alonzo Jones, representing the Seventh-day Adventist Church and all believers, stepped up to the challenge to promote religious liberty. The highlight of his argument was that the Lord's Day, be it seen as Sunday or Saturday, bore the seal of God, and therefore Caesar or the state had no right to enforce it, but that the state was limited to those things which bore the seal of man, such as taxes and his relations to other men. Thanks in part to Alonzo's efforts, the American nation and many others who share our aspirations for freedom have maintained liberty in many lands throughout the past century. That is This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Did you know the Adventist Church has a YouTube channel where you can watch ANN Video, ANN In Depth, and plenty of other amazing videos on prophecy, health, and Bible study?
Just go to YouTube and search for the Adventist Church. Click on the subscribe button to make sure you're caught up each week.
And remember, leave a comment or a prayer request. We have people who are praying for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 18 and 19.
The passage says, I have received full payment and have more than enough. I'm amply supplied now that I have received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent. They are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice pleasing to God, and my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus.
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit Adventist.news for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.